What is going on, everyone? I'm already back with another Raid Vault event recap. Yesterday was the Red Seal Gaming in New Jersey's PQ, and I went top four. Um, so this is kind of an updated list from the last video that I posted basically last week from Minnesota. In that video, I had already discussed some changes I wanted to make. Um, and yeah, it worked out really well. So if we take a look at the deck, I ended up keeping it pretty close to what I played in Minnesota. I was really happy with that deck. Obviously, I drew three times. Sound you can continue to sound off in the comments about how you feel. Uh, you know, I'm a narcissist or whatever. But in those games, I definitely was in those game threes and stuff. I definitely was in a really winning position, and it is unfortunate that it ended the way it did. Um, and yeah, it is what it is. People rolled the dice on the math, and didn't work out for me, and didn't work out for a lot of my opponents in that regard. So I was pretty happy with everything. I was questioning keeping the Nima Outpost Constables. And I'd already said timely reinforcements belonged in the main deck. I had mentioned how Unity of Purpose when I found out about that John Tata was playing that, and that Wu had suggested that to him. I think I said it made my brain like leak out of my ears because I could just see how it curved so perfectly. So I definitely knew I wanted to put Timely in the main and Unity of Purpose in the main deck as well. But I thought originally that I was going to put Timely in place of Nima Outpost Constables. That I thought was going to be my swap there. But I ended up keeping them because I just thought they performed really well all day. It just gave me a couple more Sentinels on the ground for um, kind of the Kira matchup, and obviously aggro. And I did think Quinlan performed really well in Minnesota, so there might be a little bit more Quinlan. I think that stat line's pretty annoying for Quinlan to deal with. It eats two attacks, sometimes three if I can get the buff off on it. And So I put them in. I kept them in, rather. I also many of you maybe didn't know this if you've seen some of my videos, or maybe don't. I always play like one extra card. So if it's a 50 card deck, I play 51. If it's 60, I play 61. In Minnesota, I played 62. And it didn't work out for me. So I said, okay, I have to go back to 61. That's a guaranteed. So changes I made were I actually cut the Season Fleet Admiral. It was pretty good at Minnesota, but I just felt Timely was way better. So that was kind of the 2-for-2 swap there. And then I cut all the confiscates out of the main deck, and there was three of them. And in the place of them, I put in the Unity of Purpose, and the third Akbar. Akbar has just been overperforming. I mean, it's a card, like I said, I don't really love drawing in a lot of situations, but you just kind of need three. So concession there, put the third in, and then I didn't replace the third confiscate and went down to 61. Both confiscates then ended up in the side deck, along with Disruptive Burst for the Vader 4 yellow matchup, and then the rest were the same. I kept the Ravenous Fall at 2, the Chew Sides at 2, and the Regional Governor at 2, and Timely Reinforcements moved to the main deck, so that opened up the Disruptive Burst spot. Yeah, and I was honestly really happy with the deck. I know this kind of Nima slot has been Cargo Juggernaut in a lot of lists, but I just don't see it. I know this. I know like the 4/6 shielded is annoying for a lot of decks at 6, but like if you look at this, like I need Farmer or Village Protector to heal, or my leader out to heal. It's mostly just a 4/6 shielded, and I'd rather have Ray safely deploy with Nima Constables. And I also think off of viewing, Cargo Juggernaut is oftentimes gonna, I'm playing 8 1-drop, so like you can probably find a cargo in a 1-drop, but a lot of times like you kind of want the 4 and the 3, whether it's Bright Hope or a 3-drop, or Nima and a 3-drop. If you're not going to go 3 units, like 4 and 3 is kind of where you want to live. So I just felt like the 4-drop was better. Yeah, Everything did really well. So then if we go over to my melee here, I'm gonna move myself a little bit out of the way here. Um, you'll see only a few deck lists here because the store was going to use paper deck lists, and then we kind of convinced them like you should also allow virtual deck lists. So a lot of people submitted virtual, but a lot of people also still submitted paper because the store originally like I guess didn't realize that Melee had updated to allow that feature. You know, big deal. I don't know how they missed it, but it's okay. It was rectified, but still a lot of people already had like, excuse me, committed to paper. So anyway, my matchups were actually kind of insane all day. I felt like I had a really hard road as a Ray Datavault player. So round one was 2-1 victory over Palpatine Colossus. As a Ray player, you don't really want to see Palpatine in round one. It's a tough matchup. It's not a winnable. I think the blue version presents better opportunities more than like a yellow. I struggle into yellow a little bit more. We went to 3 games. Game 1 kind of grinded, super grind fest. I think it was like a 30-minute game or so. I think I ended up winning with like a Fleet Lieutenant attack. I feel like that's normally how I close out games against these big 35 HP bases. Game 2, I kind of recognized early I was in trouble. So for those saying like, why don't I scoop to my opponents? I scooped here yet again, just like I normally do in a game 2 if I realize it's getting out of control, so that we could get it in a game 3. So I scooped pretty early in this one and played the 3rd game. This game again, we're able to get kind of late into it. He's got a bunch of damage on his base. I have like a tech, I think an R2D2 and a Bright Hope in space, and then he plays Snoke, which ended up killing something, so that I was able to play Luke. Kill the Snoke, he claimed at this point, and then he's on 14 resources, and he plays Devastator, killing my Luke. I'm also at like 14 resources, so after he's Snoke's rather, I was able to play a timely reinforce. After I killed the Snoke, I was able to play timely reinforcements. So I play Luke to kill the thing for 5, and then for 7 rather, and then for 5 I played timely. So I ended up getting like a lot, like 7 2/2s. So he draws, plays the Devastator to kill my Luke. So now his space feels safe. I've got all these 2/2s and a Bright Hope. And then I've got like 2 ground units, and he's got 4 open, so not even enough for a barrage. And I play Unity of Purpose. So Bright Hope, the token, like I said, I think I had a tech in like an R2D2, so everything was getting +4/+4. Yeah, so that was that game. Clutch Unity of Purpose win here. Again, now we're into round 2. I sit down and it's Darth Vader for yellow. Again, a really hard matchup for Ray if I don't get any space units. Game 1, I was able to find a blue leader pretty early to stave off some damage, but also get like a Moisture Farmer turn 1. He didn't hit a Sanctioner Shuttle, so that just kind of let me race him with Restore, and that's kind of how I won. Game 2 was a pretty big blowout. I think he hit like the really perfect curve with like an OB and stuff. So not much there. Game 3, pretty similar to game 1, honestly. His draw started with Bazine turn 1, so no space unit turn 1. He was able to take a Confiscate out of my hand, which might have not been the right choice. I'm pretty sure I had a resupply as well, but he didn't want me to have the Confiscate for obviously his Vader flip turn. And from there, not having a space unit turn 1, it took him a long time to get his token generation up and coordinate online for the Sanctioner Shuttle, and his draws were just a little bit out of order, and I lucked out there. My draws were also really good, so I think me being able to ramp and keep like a big R2 on the field helped win that one. Round 3, unfortunately, it was against a teammate playing Hantu Datavault. This is also typically a pretty tough matchup for Ray. I won 2-0. Game 2 wasn't really notable. It was a pretty one-sided affair for me. But game one, I'm pretty sure he took me to 32, if I remember correctly. Um, what saved me was again a time and reinforcements. I got 4 tokens, and he had a 2 space units. Um, so I was able to get rid of timely, and then I think I like took down the other one. Um, then on that turn, he proceeded to take me to 34. I had like a village protector on the ground, and then these 2/2s that stopped him in space, so that I was able to play home one, and then Akbar out of my row to do 5 damage, which again the token with the Poe on it is a 4/5, so it was just enough to kill his 4/5 for lethal. And then from there with the home one and like my slew of ground units, I was actually able to restore all the way down. I think by the time I won, I think I got back down to like 20, but I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly I was at like 32. And the Akbar saved me with the 4/2/2s from timely reinforcements, so that was crazy. um, what did I play next? Sky Guy 1417. Oh no, yeah, next was Usual. So Usual was the undefeated of the day. He was on Quinlan Tarkentown. Um, from what I've heard, he's a relatively local player to the store, but doesn't play too often. And I could kind of tell he knew how to play his deck really well, but he didn't seem to be too comfortable playing into Ray. Game three, basically, I just didn't draw any top end. Literally, on 7, 8, and 9 resources, I didn't have a single Luke, a home one, or a Ewing. I finally got Ewing on like 10 resources, but by then he had like a huge board. We had traded pretty effectively to the point of like both leaders dead and like no units on either side on like 6 resources. But I had no follow-ups. So he just kind of ran away with it. And I would say game one, was kind of Quinlan doing Quinlan things. Game two, I was able to stave off everything with all my extra draws and well-timed Lukes. And then yeah, game three, really grindy until I was drawing like double resupply, like late game. So he got me there. And then went undefeated. So, like I said, really knew how to play his deck. And sometimes that's all you need to know how to do. Like, if you're a little bit unfamiliar with the meta because you haven't played in a bit or don't play, as often as a lot of other people, as long as you know your deck inside and out and like have an idea of what your opponent's trying to do, even if you don't know the matchup 100% in and out, you can still win. So, no, he was definitely not a slouch at all. Like I said, it was just a little bit unlucky with the way it panned out for my draws. Sky Guy was on Han2 Blue. This was a pretty clean 2-0 here. Yeah, it was another like game 2. I time lead for a turn with a bunch of ground units. Next turn I played Unity of Purpose. And he was only at like 13, but with the timely and the unity, I think I had 28 on the ground. It was a +5/+5 unity. So that won me that one. Game 6 was on stream against a local friend on Gar Yellow. Really, really fun 3-game set. Logan played out of their mind. And unfortunately, game 1, I was definitely in control. I just needed a single Bright Hope. And after like a Ewing, 2 Mon Mothmas, like R2D2 being on the field the whole game, I literally couldn't find one. And I lost to the space unit that I think he played on like turn 1. Basically. So that sucked. Game 2 was pretty not close, and Logan ended up scooping pretty early so that we could get into game 3 because game 1 went a little long. And then game 3, another win with Unity of Purpose. Just put everything out of reach and put so much damage on the board. Super epic, honestly, 3-game set. Check it out on the McClunky YouTube for the VOD. And then I ended up into Tetra. And we had only both of us had only lost to Usual, so at that point we were pretty confident that our draw would be good, and it was. So we got to the top cut here, and then I ended up against another local friend, Alex, on Quinlan Tarkentown. This was not streamed, but it was probably the best games I played in a while against a Quinlan specifically. Yeah, again, the game I won, I think he took me to 31. It might have even been 32. Um, Before I turned the corner and restored all the way back down to like 18 to get there. But it was really tight. Alex played really well. Um, I'd say it was pretty much how the usual games went. I lost game one pretty handily. I got him down to 2 cards in hand, 1 resource open. I was like, all right, he's got to have it. And I flipped into a force throw, and he discarded a Han from his hand. I had plenty of small stuff, so if he targeted me, my Ray would have lived. And the restore 3 is really what I needed to win that game. So if I got that 1 attack off, I think I win. We did kind of the math, and that 3 damage was clutch. Game 2 is not really close. Game 3 was a nail biter. I had some misplays, he had some misplays. It was a long day. Yeah, and then super unfortunate. The other top eights, there was a bunch of buys already, including myself. So I matched then into my teammate Tyler. And like I said in my video, my plan was to scoop to people if I top forward, and there was no point of me playing Tyler because he doesn't have a buy. So I scooped to him in hopes that he would win the thing, or just like the other buy people would also win. Tetra lost in round 8. He has a bye as well. And then Alex Blanton beat the other person. So therefore, Tyler got his bye. They played out the finals anyway. You can check that out on stream. And Tyler did end up winning that best of 3, 2-1, I believe. So the store had a big store credit payout of like $1,000 for first place, 500 for second, and 200, and so the breakdown, so on. So shout out to Archie for really incredible prizing. So even though, Alex had his buy, Tyler now got his buy from it passing down. They still played it out because there was a lot at stake there. Those are pretty incredible games on stream, and yeah, I set out to win, but at a certain point, like I said, uplifting other people is more important to me than taking home, an official top prize. So you can say that as you will. If it was someone else, like, I probably would have done the same thing at that point. Like, I'm not gonna crush someone's hard worked like dreams at that point. Like, I already have my buy. Alex Blanton has his buy. So basically, my opponent's basically gonna get the buy if I give it to them. And instead of letting it come down to like tiebreakers and stuff, like, I don't need to play it out. I'm happy with a top 4. I like the little tokens, and that's it. So yeah, really, I kind of at that point I would have scooped to almost anybody. And I'm glad it ended up being Tyler. He's worked so hard. He's topped so many events, so many PQs. It just always falls a little short. But this time, was able to get there. I'm glad I was a small part in the journey. And then, he was able to close it out regardless. So even if Alex Blanton didn't already win a slew of PQs and topped Minnesota and and had buys on buys on buys, Tyler would have gotten it. He beat him. So that was the event. Super happy. This was basically my last hurrah with Ray. I do not think you can see this is the breakdown here. So we had Tyler's Han Solo blue, Alexander the Greatest with his Han green. I think it's the exact same list, maybe 1 or 2 different choices in the side deck from Minnesota. Me on Ray. We had another, this was a Han 1 Data Vault, but it was more like Casino Han. So you'll see he's got the Lukes and the Han Solos and the Fennec and the Enfi is like super high top end. This is not like Han 1 green with 10 extra cards and he's still playing a bunch of pilots. His only pilot is Chewbacca. He's still playing like modded cohort. Super cool deck. That guy did well. And then usual, I was on Quinlan, like I said. He had beaten myself and Tetra to be undefeated in Swiss. This was another McClunkier on Kira Data Vault. who lost to Tyler in the top 8. Both of them didn't have their bye, so basically it was like, okay, if one of them wins, looking pretty good given how many buys were in this top 8 already, and Tyler got that. Tetris Quinn the Target Town, I think, is essentially the same from Minneapolis. So pretty crazy top 8 that, we have 2 top 8 finishers from Minnesota in this top 8 in this PQ. And then my bubbling ass also here with my 18 points on day 1. So yeah, and even Alex, like I said, my friend Alex, who I beat in top 8, day 2'd in Richmond at that sector. So a really quite stacked top 8 for this roughly 100-person planetary qualifier. But yeah, this is probably my last event playing Ray, at least this iteration of it. Galactics are on the horizons. At 5 is being spoiled. But yeah, obviously there are some really strong 2-drops that Ray has, like Yaddle, Gungi or Gungi, and a couple other ones that look really interesting. And obviously, like, Green has some interesting top end, and like Keller and Beck and all sorts of stuff. So Ray could be very playable. But I think it's going to depend on, for me, I think Avar Chris looks really fascinating. How good are the use the force cards that leader kind of freely enables right now? Some of them look pretty good, like Mace Windu, and obviously Jedi Counselor looks insane. It's essentially just now there are 2 of them, so that's a leader I have my eye on. We'll see how that all pans out. And who knows, maybe Ray is still going to be incredible. I mean, there's a lot of strong early game force units, and a lot of strong hero green stuff. With like Obi the Sentinel looks good, and I think even the Luke, heroic Luke that gets like a shield and EXP looks really crazy. So we'll have to see. But I think there's a showdown tomorrow. I might attend. I definitely won't be sweating it out with this. So I'll probably try and build something a little bit more fun. Yeah, but had some big success. Won a PQ, top 4'd another, with potential to even win it if I wasn't against someone who didn't need a bye, and almost day 2'd the regional. So it's been fun with Ray, and we'll see what's next. So thanks for checking this out, and yeah, hope to see you in the next one. Bye.